Internet. How are you? How have you been? What have you been up to? Has it all just been great and has none of it been bad? I sure hope so, because it's all been great right here on the Rage Select podcast, coming at you. We are in I think we're in the 390s, and I feel like somebody's going to be like, are you going to do anything special for 400? I'm like, I didn't do anything special for 100 or 200.
He's going to completely miss it.
Or 300. There was a time when we first started Rage Select when the guy that helped me build the site, he was just like, we just passed 5,000 subscribers, and I was like, oh, okay, what do you do when that happens? You just go, yeah, cool, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of you now. Yeah.
So did I already introduce everybody? I'm Jeff.
No. Hi, I'm Bryce.
Bryce is back with us again today. Bryce, I actually have a problem. I have a dilemma.
I'm a problem solver, Jeff. Congratulations on having me as a guest on the show. I'm going to solve your problem.
All right, here we go. So last week, I noticed I was down to one roll of toilet paper, and I was like, normally I get pickup from my grocery store, but I've been doing the HelloFresh thing, so I haven't been going every week. So I was like, oh, I need some toilet paper. I'm not going to the grocery store. I could just go to Amazon.com/toilet paper, find toilet paper, hit the order button. It's going to be at your house the next day. The next day, the toilet paper's there. I bring it inside, I open it up, and I realize that because everybody knows that you can't just buy like a 4-pack of toilet paper. You have to buy 4 double stack 8-packs. So I get the big double stack 8-pack box, and I open it up, and I realize that I have ordered something like 64 rolls of scented toilet paper, and it smells like for a few days.
Is it not a good smell? Do you not like the smell?
No, it's like fake fresh. It's like fake country linen. It's like country linen that was made in a lab by the Umbrella Corporation. And when I just opened the box, the whole thing started stinking up my place. And I thought, wow, I'll leave it open for a day. Maybe it'll get less stinky. It did not. My house just started smelling like Umbrella Fresh country house. So today, this is actually not my problem, because today I was like, this much toilet paper costs $20, and it's going to take me 8 months to use. I'm not going to suffer through 8 months of bad smelling toilet paper. I'm going to spend $20 and do that.
Another one.
But now I have 64 rolls of smelly toilet paper, and I need to know how to dispose of it. Should I just everybody in my neighborhood's gonna get industrially TP'd in the middle of May? It's a May toilet papering. The cops are on the lookout.
Halloween in May.
Yeah. I can make a really smelly mummy costume, I guess.
I was gonna say you could use them as tinder for a fire, like a bonfire, or even a grill. But then I don't know if the scent, if the chemicals for the scent get affected by a combustion, so that might not even be. You might not even be able to burn them.
Yeah, I don't think so. I blew my nose with a square last night. I was just like, oh god, I don't want to smell that for 6 months when I'm blowing my nose. So. Yeah,
you probably could refund it if you only opened, depending on how much you opened. Because I had a similar thing. I ordered some bubble mailers on Amazon. They were not the size that the item name is. They were an inch, or they were a half inch shorter on one axis.
Okay.
Even though it said it was another thing. And so I had opened them. I bought multiples and opened all of them. And some of them fit and some of them didn't. And I told Amazon, I was like, hey, some of these don't even work. Because I thought they would just be like, you can have your money back because it's not that expensive. Yeah. But they were like, go to a UPS store, show them this QR code, and they will pack it up and send it back for a refund. So you could get a refund depending on how much you ordered.
I mean, the problem is I opened one of them and took out one roll of toilet paper and used a little bit of it and was like, oh no, I can't do this. So I don't know if you could be like, can I give you guys back 99% of the toilet paper I bought? And then it's up to you.
Toilet paper might be different. Because they let me send back not all of the mailers. Because I had opened one and undid the adhesive and closed, I had used a couple of them just to test them. But toilet paper might be different.
I don't know.
But Yeah.
I'm gonna offer it to all my friends first and see if anybody wants it who doesn't care about
you could
the
probably
smell.
give them out or donate it even.
How long is it till Halloween? Can I just give that out instead of candy? Here's a really smelly roll of toilet paper, kids. Have a ball. I'm that guy now.
The only house worse than the people who give out pennies.
Yes.
Like somehow the only one worse
Or
than
toothbrushes. Yeah, so that's mostly been my life. I was trying really hard. I really wanted to give my internet hot take on the new Castlevania season, and then I realized that I didn't watch the last Castlevania season. So then I tried watching the last Castlevania season, but then I just kept playing Subnautica instead of watching the last Netflix season. So I have one hot take this week, and it's that season 2 of Love, Death, and Robots is total garbage compared to season 1 of Love, Death, and Robots. It's shorter.
Wow.
The episodes are worse. It's not as clever. Just maybe don't watch it. But that's
I'll tell you, I Love, Death, and Robots season 1 was a mixed bag for me. Like there's some good ones in there, and also some kind of trashy ones. So
yeah.
Hearing that season 2 is not even better. It's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, like I wanted to make sure, so I went back last night and I watched like the Zima Blue and like the one where the lady like runs away from the guy and it turns out to be like a weird loop that's like super into the Spider-Verse and stuff. And I was just like, nah, these are like objectively better. It's not that I just have like rose-colored glasses, because when Love, Death, and Robots season 1 came out, I was just like, where did this come from? This is great. I like it. It reminds me of like Liquid Television, where it's like you said, it's very hit or miss, but at 10 minutes a piece, it's like you never have to, you don't feel like you're wasting your time. You just be like, okay, the dumb yogurt one is over, now we're going on to something that may or may not be cooler. But the second one, I don't know, it was like half as many episodes and they just weren't very interesting. So
that's a shame.
Bummer. What have you been up to, Bryce?
I've played I think the thing I probably spent the most time with that isn't like old TV stuff is I got Returnal. I got Returnal on the PlayStation 5, and it's so funny. I was very tempted to get the game, and then immediately on loading it up, I was like, "Oh, this is like none of the things that I like. This is like." It's not a horror game, but it is a like kind of horror aesthetic kind of. It's a scary kind of game.
Yeah.
And it's a roguelike. And it's like a third person shooter. It's like all these things I don't like or I'm not good at. But I have not played too much. I know some people have like beaten the game and whatnot. But I'm still like having difficulty trying to beat the first boss. But I think it's neat. I think it's kind of neat. What did you feel, Jeff? Because I know you did a look at one, right?
Yeah, it's funny because on paper, Returnal is everything that I should want out of a game where it's like kind of like dig the roguelike, and I kind of dig the aesthetic of, I like space stuff, I like the kind of the blasting and the shooting. I like Housemarque's other games, but just like Housemarque's other games, like it looked really pretty, but I think the problem was that there wasn't enough roguelike meta game progression from run to run, to the point where I just felt like it was that Grand Theft Auto San Andreas meme of like, oh shit, here we go again. It was just like, I just felt like I was playing the same run over and over again. And especially because I think I've seen other games like Hades and some of the other stuff recently that's taken the roguelike kind of framework and then like done better than just here's a roguelike. And the big thing with Returnal seemed to be like, well, it looks really pretty. And it's like, well, and it's a third-person shooter, and we don't see, a lot of times they're more retro than that, but like, I don't know. Plus the whole like, I don't think I'm a fan of this. I know that Ratchet and Clank does it, but I don't think I'm a fan of this PS5, like pulling the trigger halfway does one thing and pulling the trigger all the way does another thing.
I really dug that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really, it took a little while to kind of get the muscle memory for it because they don't start you off with that.
Yeah.
But I've managed to pick it up easier than I have the active reload system. I'll say that.
Yeah, that too.
I still have trouble with that, especially with the pistol. When you're kind of like manually firing the pistol to be faster, but then that will count as a reload click. And so you tend to miss them almost all the time. I do, at least.
I mean, I don't know. I was really excited for it, but I guess I just I made it to the first boss and I almost beat the first boss, and then it was just I don't like roguelikes that much when they don't have. I like roguelikes that have that meta progression thing, right? Where like, to me, that's the cure. That's the reason I don't like Spelunky and I do like something like Hades, is because even when you die in Hades, you get to go back and like add to the progression towards like more health that's going to give you a better run next time, or like weapon upgrades, where
it's a lot of very obvious progression bits, right? The character dialogues progress, your upgrades progress, there are levels of progress. Like that Returnal definitely doesn't have that. And the things that it does keep between runs feels, I think it feels strange because I'm still unlocking things, but it's I've heard that once you've beaten, say, the first area, it becomes much faster to make it subsequently to the further biomes that you end up in, which is neat. But I don't know. It's just esoteric stuff that keeps unlocked. Like I got the blade. I just recently got the blade upgrade.
It takes a while to get that, right? That seems like something that you should start with and then like upgrade to something better, as opposed to just not having a melee until you get way deep into that first area.
It takes a while to get, and the way you get it doesn't feel like that you should keep it. Like by that point, I'm like, oh, cool. Well, do I have to fight this guy every time to get the blade? But you don't. And so there's weird stuff like that. But I think the thing that really attracted me to Returnal, honestly, is the idea of a roguelike game that is story-based first. That, like, the point of the game is to finish this game and never have to play it anymore. Where other broader roguelike games, like Rogue Legacy, those feel like here's the roguelike system and you play it until maybe there's an endpoint or a momentous point, but those feel like those are meant to be played forever, where Returnal definitely has a story, and it certainly seems like it has answers, and what happens at the end of that, who knows. But that's what really interested me. I don't know, how much did that play for you?
Well, I remember on one run I finally got into the house and I was like, oh, okay, I like this. What's going on with the house? What's going on with the astronaut? What the hell is going on here? What is this time loop? The problem is just that I have a problem with certain games nowadays where it's just like, you're not I don't like feeling like I'm banging my head up against a piece of a game without making any forward progress, and feeling like the other part of it is just a very, to me, primal video game thing where it's like, well, I died and I'm not entirely sure if I could have done better than what I just did. Like the number of it's not like, I mean, I was playing we played for a Patreon video. Michael and I played the Getsu Fumaden, which is this Konami side-scrolling roguelike thing that they announced for the Switch a little while back, and it's coming out, I believe, next year for the Switch, but it's in Steam Early Access, and we played it. It's like a side-scrolling kind of Castlevania-style roguelike that's all Oni. It's actually a sequel to a really old Famicom game. But see, with that one, it's like when we were doing our runs, one run, we got these fists that were just like incredibly powerful, and we managed to bully our way all the way to the first level boss. Whereas the guns in Returnal, the difference between a level 1 and a level 2 gun just doesn't, I don't know, they don't feel very different and they don't feel as good. And a lot of this could just be that I got really spoiled last year with Hades, that I really loved Hades a lot, and that Hades to me solved a lot of roguelike problems, and this feels like, kind of a step back. But
the speed of Hades, having last, my previous roguelike before this was Hades, having come right off immediately directly off of Hades is very fast.
Yeah.
Like you can progress through those areas relatively quickly, because that you're supposed to beat that game multiple times.
Yeah.
Where Returnal, I believe that there's like 6 biomes, and it all feels like a big to do. It kind of feels like a big to do a run of this game, especially with all the no saving controversy stuff. But like, it kind of feels like a big to do. I think it's weird. This is a very similar sensation to playing Death Stranding, which is like an incredible concept for a game that you would probably that it feels like you would have seen in an indie type game, a lower budget game, but giving it a huge AAA budget, and kind of going all out. Returnal feels very similar to that, in that, you know, a space roguelike and time loop game makes sense, but having Housemarque and all of the budget behind it, it feels like they luxuriate a little bit in the concept, where Hades is just it's fast and it's really charming.
Well, my big thing that I won't shut up about is that to me Hades solved the roguelike equation for me, and that by putting the a good visual novel on the other side of death, it meant that there's no actual fail state in Hades, because if you die in a run, you get more story, and then if you could succeed in a run, you get more story. So you're always getting more story, you're always progressing in some way or another, so you'd never have that feeling where you die and you're just like, oh well, that was a waste of my time.
What was that for?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So I don't know, maybe I'll give it another shot at some point, because I'm not opposed to it, and like I said, on paper it's got my name written all over it, but I tried it a bunch and I don't know. Like I said, I've been having more fun with Subnautica than I thought humanly possible. But anyway, all right, let's do some news. We got a weird bunch of news this week. And we're going to start it off with a real fucking feel-good story for everybody. Just kidding. There's not as many feel-good stories this week. So last year we got the news that Ubisoft had a bit of a problem in their internal culture with some broiness, some kind of traditional textbook shitty bossiness, some harassment allegations, and a lot of different things. And Yves came out. I remember you were especially mad that they put the Yves apology out as like a separate video from that live stream of like, look at all the fun stuff.
Right.
And apparently, like so there was a report this week from gamesindustry.biz where they talked about like some of the folks have been let go, but it sounds like some of them have been shuffled around. There's this whole thing about like Cecile Cornett, who stepped down, who was an director of HR. But Bryce, I don't know if it's just me, but this sentence makes my skin crawl, where they say that replaced by Chief People Officer Annika Grant, who previously spent 3 years at Uber. And that they previously appointed Rashi Sika as VP of Global Diversity and Inclusion, who also came from Uber. I'm like, when I think of like companies with a super good corporate culture that like do good things, I mean, they're all terrible, but Uber, did everybody forget that Uber was like, hey, journalists, we keep records of all the rides you take, and it sure would be a shame if that information got out into the public, they said that out loud,
it's well, and even to quote this article, don't expect anything to come out of these appointments. My feelings haven't changed since that apology video thing, because nothing has changed since that apology video. Ubisoft is not going to take this seriously, and they will continue to lie and say that they are addressing things, or they will continue to be vague or misleading, to not have to deal with this anymore, and not have to not fire as many people as possible, because these things are not change. Change is action.
Well, because also, I mean, it seems like from that report that we had before that like Ubisoft started with this core of people that were like related to each other or best friends or had known each other since fucking business school. Like this, it was started as like a family company, and that there's this very like tight knit group that I feel like it's just kind of textbook like, oh, well, I can do whatever I want to. My dad owns the company, so I'm just gonna come in 2 hours late and, you know, be a dork. Also, at the very end of this article, there was it was kind of a statement from Ubisoft that just reads like so much corporate. The you gotta say the thing, so you say the thing. Over a period of several months, Ubisoft has implemented major changes across its organization, internal processes, and procedures in order to guarantee a safe, inclusive, and respectful working environment for all team members. I mean, like, I don't know. Everybody says that, but then apparently one of the pieces of the story was that apparently somebody internally at Ubisoft kind of like leaked information out to the press, basically saying like they didn't really do anything. Like they shuffled people around, they fired a few, they put a few heads on the chopping block, they brought in new people to head HR or whatnot, but then apparently it hasn't really changed all that much. Which
and I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to be as vague as possible in terms of saying we've fixed things, but not really laying responsibility at anybody's feet, because my guess is if they make a big show of beheading somebody for it, there will be some trail of emails or something that probably once fingers start getting pointed, a lot of fingers will start getting pointed, and I think that's what they don't want is a real investigation on who was responsible for what, if only to protect all of these people, because it certainly smells like there's going to be the reality will be worse than anything that they admit to.
Absolutely. Let's see. We also got another saucy story. I have not been talking at all for a while, Bryce, about the Twitch hot tub meta that has been kind of all the rage in the background. As somebody who does Twitch streaming, do you have an opinion on / have you considered? I don't think I've ever seen. I think I would have heard about it if you actually did a hot tub stream. But have you considered putting a hot tub, a quote unquote hot tub, in your living room and doing a hot tub stream?
We are working on various things, and the idea of a hot tub of something was not entirely joked aloud. So no, I mean, where I stand is that I think the rules should be the same for everybody, and I think they should be very clearly defined. And with that setup, Jeff.
Yeah. So this week, Amaranth, one of the bigger kind of lady streamer people on Twitch. I don't really follow this stuff. I don't know, but I do see her name come across from time to time. Apparently got all of her monetization from ads turned off. And not just that. So the thing is that this is a really complicated story because, Twitch's side of things, the real big thing to keep in mind here is that all of the monetization from ads were turned off, and she didn't get any like notification that this had happened.
Right.
Like it just kind of happened out of the blue.
She says she was talking because you'll get someone on the inside of Twitch who is supposed to be your contact, and she was saying, yeah, I asked my contact what happened, and while they were looking into it, and the contact was like talking about, hey, here is the new advertising stuff that we're going to be doing. Here, take a look at this. And then once they found out, I guess they returned with a very prepared statement for her about she's not going to be getting advertisements anymore. I think this is really I understand doing it. I understand making this a policy change, but this feels like someone said we need to turn off her ads right now, and someone capitulated instead of saying, well, we need to let people know that there are further rules to ads, because right now her case is she is following the terms of service. She's following the streaming guidelines. She does kind of racy, she wears, low cut, short cut clothing. But she is within the terms of service, and she is as valid to be on Twitch as anybody else. But now there are question mark rules on if you want this one part of the ad of money revenue and alongside subs and bits. Like, this is not the right order of operation.
It's just, I think the thing is that I know that there's some, I've kind of glanced up against a few stories about the whole hot tub meta thing, and that there seems to be, I don't know why I never hear this just like said out loud. There seems to be a group of people out there who have decided that, like, if you're a good-looking woman on Twitch that has a bunch of dudes that are watching you because you're a good-looking woman on Twitch, that you shouldn't be there. That, like, this is, I swear to God, I saw headlines about, like, hot tub meta is destroying Twitch. It's like, well, Twitch hasn't just been like playing games for a long time. Like, people draw and they just hang out and they just chat. There's all kinds of stuff that happens on Twitch. But the thing that is interesting about this is that I feel like this is kind of similar to the YouTube adpocalypse. And then, like, way back a long time ago, I remember running up against some of this other stuff where it's like, okay, well, advertisers don't want their ads running on content that could be considered sexual. And so it's like, then you get into this really weird morality policing thing where, or even the stuff that happens on YouTube where it's like, did you use profanity within the first 60 seconds of your video? Well, then that is going to get you demonetized, but not it after that. Like, all I have to do
there are shades. Yeah. There are shades to it in YouTube, but at least in YouTube, especially in the past year or so, they have, I think, been more upfront with what those rules are. I think even in the last week, YouTube specifically changed some of those rules and kind of laid it out of like, hey, you can have PG-13 curse words in the first 30 seconds or like some number of hard curse words in the first however much. But like they kind of, at least with YouTube, there is a guideline in place, and they even have tools where you can self-report on some of this stuff. With Twitch, it's like, yeah, she is like, people are watching partly because she's pretty good looking, but that's not against the rules on Twitch.
Right.
Like, if there are rules, let's say what the rules are. If Twitch is going to say, hey, now we have separate guidelines for stream advertising, then do that. I think maybe the reason they haven't or didn't or won't, whatever the outcome of it will be, is because the advertising on Twitch is so intrusive that people may break that specific subset of rules so that their streams don't have a million ads on them before anyone can even look.
Oh, interesting. I was actually thinking I was going in the opposite direction of just like one of the issues that you get into when it comes to this sort of thing is that then you end up with like this high school handbook guideline of like what you can wear and what you can't wear. And like, you're literally telling people like, well, your neckline can't come down past 6 inches of where your chin, if you put, like no exposed.
Which is why they don't want to be specific.
Right.
Right. If they, even if they were being, let's say, kind of even-handed about this, whatever you would draw on the human body of what they would consider unacceptable would be the shape of the outerwear that some people on Twitch would wear because they want to show off their body. And my guess is Twitch doesn't want to, is willing to take a bad PR day to avoid going down that cliff.
Yeah. It is interesting though that seeing this story, and we're going to move past this in a minute, but like the other interesting thing about the story that I think is that, last year we had the whole thing with the DMCA on the music stuff. There's been the stuff with kind of like the age restriction for people, suddenly getting like grandfathered out of like partnership programs. I feel like Twitch just like they're so opaque, and I don't know if that's like the Amazon ownership or whatnot. Like even YouTube, they may step on the rake all day, but at least they like try to kind of be consistent, whereas Twitch just seems to do so much of this stuff in the background with no explanation whatsoever, and then when challenged on it, they come back with a very vague answer. It's kind of like last week I was talking about Steam's guidelines for porn video games, and how that's like, you put all the hentai you want on it, but if there's these guys that were making this VR game where they scanned in real adult film actresses, and Steam rejected that game like over and over and over again because of the adult content. So yeah, I don't know. It's just I think that they should be more upfront, and they should probably. I think they would garner more goodwill if they would just explain this stuff before, instead of just hitting the switch and then suddenly being like, oh, all my ads are turned off. Or like when they did that thing with the unskippable ads that would come up over the stream that the streamers couldn't control, where it was just a big like box that flew up in the middle. I wish they would just be a little bit more upfront about it. I don't know.
Yeah. Or even, the big one was Dr. Disrespect being kicked off the platform, and I don't believe, to my understanding, and if you take his word for it, there wasn't an explanation given for why that happened still. And it's like, am I supposed to believe that's the lesser of two evils, or what is the thinking behind that, right? I mean, the same thing for Amaranth. Even if they say, hey, we're kind of in a tough position here, but we specifically have to turn your ads off, at least like that would be owning up to your decision. Even if it's not new policy, just own up to your decision.
Yeah.
And so the idea that just total silence is the best choice, that like presented with options, this group of people decided this was the best way to handle this. I don't understand it either.
It also brings up, I've meant to bring this up a while back, but it also brings up a really interesting question about just like, if we're talking about advertiser unfriendly, sex tends to be at the top of the list, but then there's also, there's like, what about advertisers that say, well, we don't want to be featured on streams with, I guess there's a lot of weird questions there about like, does this start to ooze over into just the verbal content, like not even the video, but like if somebody is saying something that advertisers don't want to be associated with, do you get your ads turned off? Does that happen in real time? I guess again, it's just, it would be nice if there was some clear-cut guidelines as opposed to this nebulous nonsense, because then you just get a bunch of horrible YouTube videos.
Like you need to take responsibility for your platform. Like that's what this is.
Yeah.
Is with what is it, Section 230 or whatever, this safe harbor stuff for social media. Like I understand that there's some element of the less that you have control over the content that people post, the less responsible you are for it, in so many words. I know it's more specific than that, but I maybe that's what this is being afraid of having users believe they're being boxed in on the type of content that they can make and watch. But like if you have these red lines, or if you find red lines once you start signing people to monetization deals and selling the inventory of their streams to advertisers, and now having new responsibilities, like you have to communicate those. If your job is to be the platform and say, hey, these two parts of our product won't work for you, you need to say that, because she was making significant money from just running ads on stream beyond the subs and the bits and her OnlyFans and all of the other things that she does.
Yeah.
It was still like real money. And if that's how, then she is like one of the more popular streamers. So that's how you're going to treat, someone with that much visibility. Like, I don't know, man. It's an own goal. Doesn't need to be like this.
Yeah. Well, in other sex news. Apparently, eBay is not going to be selling a variety of different adult items moving forward. So, yeah, they're removing the adults only category, and they're saying, let's see, what is this? Adult items with content that is illegal. Okay. Items that do not comply with our illegal, explicit content policy, sexually oriented materials, including items containing nudity and displays of sexual activity are not allowed. This includes adult films, video games with a rating of XXX R18 or unrated or an adult-only audience, sexually explicit anime, comics, books, films, animation, manga, hentai, and yaoi. Like the way that they point that out specifically. And apparently, like, the reason for this is that they just said that they don't want people to accidentally run into adult materials while browsing eBay. I don't know about you, but do you know anybody that still uses fucking eBay? Or I don't know. I haven't used eBay in years, but
people are still using. I mean, eBay is. Yes, people are still using eBay. This is just very strange to me to say that the justification is we want to not show this stuff to people, or we want to make the people who want this stuff are the only ones who we serve it to. But that's a metadata issue.
Yeah,
like that's something you can solve with metadata as a platform, rather than just saying all these things are not allowed.
Yeah, it would seem so.
It's strange to me.
It's also kind of strange to me that if this was a problem, that it hadn't been solved by now. It was just strange to see that it's 2021 and eBay is just now selling dildos off the front page. Is that? I mean, like, it seems strange. It seems like something that would have been fixed a long time ago, as opposed to something that's happening right now. And then I don't think I saw anything else about, because they kind of talked in their statement here. They say, we want to make adult items available to those who wish to purchase them and can do so legally, while preventing those who do not wish to view or purchase the items from easily accessing them. So
what else is left?
Yeah,
this list that I'm looking at seems to can at least, I guess. Yeah, I don't know what you could sell. I guess like art with nudity in it, I guess, maybe actually sex toys and objects, but then it's very strange. This is a very strange way to but at least it's a policy. At least it's something you can look at and say,
yeah,
it's on, we can't do that. Like, at least they kind of are upfront about it. But
that's
it's very
true.
strange that they would do this.
Yeah, I agree. But we have good news in 18 plus stuff. Disco Elysium has been unbanned in Australia. It has been given an R18 plus rating. If you recall, Disco Elysium was not originally rated because there's drug use in it, and Australia gets really weird if you have like anything approximating adult content in your games / movies or whatever. Actually, I think it's mostly games, but
nowadays it's games. It used to be books.
Oh, okay.
But I think they've pretty much stopped doing that. But I think yeah, it's right now it's games.
Okay. But the interesting thing about this is that I kind of love the turnaround on this, because they were just like, we're not going to rate it. There's drug use. You do drugs and it makes you do better in the game. And I think that the ZAUM, the developer, like pushed back and they were like, could you guys look at this again? Because like when you do the drugs in the game, you do better, but then there's like consequences towards doing that. And like, it makes you worse as time goes on. So there's like, it's not just like, hey, drugs, they're amazing. Do them all the time. There's no consequences. It literally, the game is about like addiction and like, what resisting like the impulse to do these sorts of things. And so they looked at it and turned it around, and they had this thing where they say, what does it say? The game contains like this game does provide, okay, in the review board's opinion, while drug use linked to incentives and rewards cannot be accommodated at R18 plus, this game does provide disincentives related to drug taking behavior to the point where regular drug use leads to negative consequences for the player's progression in the game. So
it's so sterile to have to hear it written like that, but okay, it's over. It's, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that there should be a reason to not rate a game. Just in general, like I'd rather there be a couple more labels than have this kind of unrated Wild West. But I don't know. It's strange that this wasn't the case last time. It's kind of a shame that it has taken this long to be like legal to sell in Australia.
I'm always fascinated by this because this the way Australia treats video games is a very clear indication of like this is what it looks like when a government is like, we must protect our citizens from the bad things that we think that they should not be engaging in by restricting access to certain types of media that we deem inappropriate. And being from America, like, in fact, I got access to all of Steam and all of the filth. All of the filth is available at any time.
Well, I mean, but the version that we have of that is we have the ESRB, of course, which is not a government organization, but is its own bureaucracy, I guess. But you can just you can be like de facto banned here in the U.S. if you get an X or an unrated, an AO rating, whatever it may be right now, and then just the retailers won't sell it to you, right? I mean, it's not a government body saying it, but it's all of the retailers piecemeal deciding, what is and is not acceptable, and we're kind of in a place where I think if those things were more labeled, if the classifications were a little more specific, you probably would see more games sold and made in those ranges, including Disco. I mean, Disco Elysium is a very adult game, and it should be sold. You should be able to play it because it is incredible. And yeah, sometimes you do take drugs in it, and that's I don't know.
It's interesting because
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's funny because it makes sense. But then I was also thinking about how much the digital storefronts have opened stuff up, and the fact that you can literally buy like pretty sexually explicit visual novels on the Nintendo Switch store.
God.
And that because the digital stuff has blown up so much, and like you don't have to get rated as long as Nintendo will put your game on their store. It doesn't matter whether Walmart will carry your weird hentai dating game. Like if Nintendo will let you sell it, then you can buy Galgun on your Nintendo Switch, and it doesn't matter whether the squares at Walmart will put it on the shelf because it's $30 both places. And I know that sometimes it matters to people whether they have physical media, but if what you really want to do is play the weird anime dating game, then like you could do it. You can get it on the Switch. And I feel like that, especially also with Steam and just, I keep going back to Steam, but just the explosion of just straight up pornography that is on Steam now, in a way where it's like none of those games would have ever touched a single brick and mortar store ever. Like I don't even think if they were rated, is there something above AO? Is there just like N for nobody should play this?
Yeah, but I think. Look, take a look at Grand Theft Auto 5. Like, I think if Grand Theft Auto 5 wasn't fucking Grand Theft Auto, I think it would have maybe gotten an adults only rating or an unrated. I mean, we have M for mature, which is like, I don't know, some very weird arbitrary line in terms of sexual content or nudity or drug use or dangerous acts or violence, what have you. Like I think the size, like we're talking about, low cost indie digital titles, but like that's because like there kind of isn't a space for that in bigger budget games. And I don't know. It's weird. I think it's a very weird system, and what we have here in the Australia board, man,
it's very strange. I mean, I remember the first time that they did this, and it was like accompanied by the fact that they had censored one of their lawmakers that had like a bunch of anime statues in his office, and it was just very strange. But
Like think about Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, right? Like that technically did get re-rated as adults only once the hot coffee thing came out, even though like I don't even know if you could access it on the PlayStation, because maybe if you had a Game Shark or something, but like that was done just to kind of make them remove that from the game, and like that's not what that board should be about, first off, and secondly, like how close did you check? Well, no, that's not fair, because they disabled that content. But I don't know. It's very
it's very messy.
Jeff.
Yeah, it's very messy.
Yeah.
Well, let's go to some uncomplicated. Let's go from the complicated to the uncomplicated. We got a full-on trailer this week for the 80s action heroes coming to Call of Duty Black Ops Warzone. We knew this was happening. I was talking last week about how the idea of putting John Rambo in your fun shooting action game still is weird to me, because I remember the first Rambo movie and what it was about and its plot, and it wasn't just like, yeah, America. But what I was really impressed with in this trailer that they put out is that we knew that they were putting John McClane in, but apparently they put the whole Nakatomi building in there, including like the inside and vents to crawl around in, the unfinished floors, like the helipad on the roof. And I'm like, okay, that's more interesting to me than just the like, oh, here's a skin of Bruce Willis in a tank top that you could play Call of Duty Warzone with. I mean, you're still not going to get me to play Call of Duty Warzone, but I'm at least I appreciate the effort that you put in. Let's put it that way. It's interesting though in this trailer to just see them pan over in the Verdansk map, and it's just fucking Nakatomi building. It's there.
Wow, this is. I don't really know. I don't really know how to feel about this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, you say this would not. You would not log in to play this.
No, I tried playing Warzone with Jason like 3 times, and I'm very bad at Call of Duty, and I'm not interested in getting any better. Like, I think I killed like one person in the 3 times that I played with him. So, like, I'm a liability to any team. I'm gonna get killed right away on my own. I'm just not the kind of guy to play this sort of game. But which is a shame, because this to me is a lot like when they put something cool in Fortnite, and I'm like, oh, that looks really cool. I'm not gonna play Fortnite, but that looks really cool. You don't really play. Do you play any online competitive?
No.
Okay.
There really isn't anything I play online anymore. Yeah. I can't compete. I'm not a true MLG gamer, Jeff. Everyone outpaces me really quickly. So even stuff that I kind of like fighting games, but I'm not going to be online good, you know. So this is strange to me. Like, it would be cool if there was like a mini campaign or a mission or something set in the Nakatomi Tower, so you're like recreating the movie or something like that. That would be the thing that interests me. But I'm not in it for the multiplayer, so it's kind of a non-starter.
Yeah, me neither. But if you are in it for the multiplayer, you might need to know that apparently Bryce's least favorite technology, at least when we talked about it a long time ago.
Yes.
So there was a guy on the internet, I want to make sure I credit this properly, who did this experiment. His name is JGod. Yeah, who did this experiment where turning on DLSS and Call of Duty Warzone caused like a small amount of offset in the
reticles.
The reticle, yeah.
The sniper reticle scopes.
Yeah, like you would shoot and then it would actually be just like a little bit to one side. And apparently, like the more DLSS processing that was enabled, the greater. And we're talking like it's not like you shoot and then you.
It's small.
It's small, but in a Call of Duty Warzone, you know, if you're sniping somebody, if you're doing the kind of mental math to hit somebody that's moving, like if they're at a medium to long range, all of that could definitely be messed up by the amount that they're showing here, especially if you're aiming for headshots, and mostly also because DLSS is only going to be a thing on the PC, so you're going to be talking about people using mouse and keyboard who are going to at least in my opinion.
Expect precision.
Yeah.
Expect to click on a head and have it be clicked on.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting to see this. Now I am still willing to. My faith is still in our AI overlords to make all the games look better, but
they're not real pixels. They're fabricated pixels.
That's all right.
What you're seeing is irreality. It's not true.
I am fine playing a robot's dream if it looks super good and it runs at 60 frames per second in 4K. I have a feeling that this will probably be fixed. It was interesting. I don't know if you watched this whole video, but it was interesting because it was literally like he had the laser scope on, and like the difference between where the reticle was and where the laser dot was
you could see the laser definitely not on center.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I would be interested in seeing the math of kind of what's going on behind this. Oh, I know. Yeah. Last week, Bryce, we talked about, did you see that video that was like they took Grand Theft Auto 5 and then they put it through this AI that looked at a bunch of like pictures of Los Angeles and then just like used that to grade the color and like make the foliage look better and make like the reflections on stuff look better?
It's that's a GAN. Oh no, I don't. Now I'm going to look a fool because I have to look up what a GAN is, but it's oh, maybe it's not a GAN, but it's that's some of the stuff that NVIDIA has been doing. A
generative adversarial network?
I think it might be a GAN. It might technically not be a GAN, but it's not just skinning the game, right? It's not just shading it. It's actually generating a new image based on what it believes that the streets of Los Angeles or different cities look like. And so, because there are other things where if you did, a very simplistic animation with like, okay, this is kind of like a boat and these are like mountains, the same kind of technology can take that base image and generate what looks like a scene of a boat and mountains moving, with rudimentary shapes.
Cool.
And so it helps that like GTA 5, looks pretty good, right? Those cars look like cars. The streets look like the streets. But then that you kind of get the dash cam filter over it as it redraws it with like, what real fucked up roads look like and real, cars.
The foliage was what stood out the most to me because video games, I feel like we always have to squint when we're looking at a video game tree, and it's like that's tree-like.
It's an X. Yeah, right? It's like two textures X'd on each other.
I understand that thing is supposed to represent where a tree is. Well, speaking of our machine overlords, we might actually have a chance to use them at some point in the future because NVIDIA is trying to implement some stuff into their 3000 series cards to stop crypto miners from buying them all up so that actual people who want to play video games can buy them all up. This is what it is. It's got an update called LHR, light hash rate versions of the cards that are supposed to basically be kind of stunted in a way that's not going to affect your gaming performance, but is going to keep them from being effective crypto miner cards so that the crypto miners, now that won't stop the assholes that buy them because they just know that you want to play Grand Theft Auto 5 real bad and like you're willing to pay $300 on top of on the non-adult section of ebay.com. But this is maybe hoping maybe to try to cut down on people that are buying these things specifically to do crypto mining. Of course, this article on Kotaku does point out that like it's possible that if there's any way to get around this, like if it's just like something in the driver and the software, or even if it's something that's easy to access on the hardware, the crypto miners will go around that because they'll do anything. Yeah.
And specifically, this is coming to the 3060 Ti, the 3070, and the 3080s, because remember, Jeff, they had tried to do this once before, and then NVIDIA themselves unlocked all of those hash limiters with one of those beta drivers or something that unlocked it, and so it was completely useless. I think it's good that they're trying to react to what I think are not good market forces for NVIDIA's brand. But I don't know that I trust this company to do the exact. I mean, it's the same story, Jeff. This is the same story from last time with these things, and they gave up the Ghost themselves. So we'll see. Because I think even if NVIDIA hadn't done it themselves, someone else would have hacked their way around it. I hope. My heart goes out to the PC gamers out there. I hope you get some cards.
Yeah. I've been wanting to get a new PC, but I kind of don't want to do that until I can get one of these cards. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully. Let's see. In other hopeful news, I think CD Projekt Red is hopeful that they will only have to beat one lawsuit instead of 4. That was a smooth transition, and I will not hear a word otherwise about it. So CD Projekt Red had 4 different class action lawsuits, and this is mostly the stuff coming from investors that said that, like, due to the misleading marketing, it really hurt the brand, it really hurt the stock price when they hid the past gen versions of Cyberpunk before it came out. This used to be 4 lawsuits. Apparently they got consolidated into one giant lawsuit instead, which this is so interesting to me because I feel like I've seen a million companies over a million years all lie about the quality of their video games right up till the point. This is the first time I've ever seen like somebody brought to court for it that wasn't just like a troll lawsuit of some patent troll that's just like, you know, the false advertising. I'm going to use the lemon laws to get my money back for my $60 game. So I don't know. I'm watching this.
I think, which I feel like is what the investors' case is here. Like, yes, there is some truth that like CD Projekt Red was showing specific footage and they were not giving like reviewers access to stuff early, but like I think those are justifications to fire somebody. But you're an investor. You are gambling with your money, and sometimes this is what happens. So. I feel like this class action lawsuit's probably not going to go. I don't think you could just sue someone for saying the people who run the company did a bad job and then sue them for losses. I don't know. It is strange. Also, we're like 6 months from release and it's still not back on the PlayStation Store.
Isn't it? It isn't?
No.
Okay.
It's still gone.
I don't know.
Can you believe it?
Yes, because they seem to have just shoved the entire bottom half of their body into a meat grinder. And the thing is that at this point, it's turned into like, I feel like when stuff like this happens, it's like, this game came out, the expectation was wrong. It turns out it's garbage. Okay, well, we're going to get on that. We're going to get the fixes out. We're going to get this thing out. We're going to put this feature back in that we turned off. Here's the thing. And then modders take care of the rest. But this is not what this game is. This game to me is missing like full features. Like if the game didn't crash and it didn't look bad and it didn't and like there weren't bugs and there wasn't the guide doesn't follow you the wrong way or the quest is gated,
it would be an all right game.
It would be a mediocre Grand Theft Auto clone with some neon in it. Like it would not be anywhere near like the reputation that like The Witcher has. It would be a fine game that was fine, but it would not be worth the hype. So my big question is just like they put out that whole big list, and if they add all those features in, if they pull a Final Fantasy 15 Royale edition where like once you add in all the free DLC and then all the paid DLC and then 4 years worth of updates and then it finally comes out in like the complete package, then yeah, that might be worth playing. But like even if you were to fix it, the game that I played, it just wasn't. I mean, there's better games out there. It's not worth your time. It doesn't have anything to say. It's not especially interesting as a shooter, not especially interesting as a driving game. It's very pretty in some places, but not worth it. No meat. It's a steak-shaped balloon.
You made a Skyrim version of Deus Ex, and you kind of let it be that. Like, I'm. This is so strange. This is. I don't think anything will ever happen exactly like this. I think this is such a singular moment in the history of video games. Cyberpunk is.
Possibly. I didn't think that it would happen after No Man's Sky, but a second time, but it totally did.
It happened because of No Man's Sky, because of like, oh well, games can they can turn games around.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. But from here we go to my favorite thing in the world. I am in love. If I could marry the ongoing Apple versus Epic lawsuit, I would totally do it. I would propose to that lawsuit right now and walk it down the aisle and put a ring on it, because we never get crazy information about the gaming industry than when you have to say it. It's court. You can't just be evasive. You have to say it out loud. And this week's update for this is about Roblox. So I didn't know this because I'm an adult man, and okay, it's fine. If you would play Roblox, I don't judge. You play whatever you want to. I have no interest in playing like knockoff Lego, Minecraft, Fortnite, what this article that I'm looking at said that something like in 2020, like more than half of people under the age of like 9 had played Roblox, the Roblox game online.
The power, I mean, honestly, the power of a free game for underage players is immense. I mean, you look at that is partly why Fortnite Battle Royale took off despite all of the popularity of Battlegrounds, is because Fortnite's free, right?
Yeah.
Roblox is free. Old school RuneScape, that is being played by kids who were not born when the original RuneScape was old school.
Yeah.
Like, it's the power of free. And then you get something where you have a Minecrafty kind of space where you can share and create your spaces. Like, it's kind of a perfect storm.
Well, then apparently, I didn't know this, but apparently the Roblox game also has kind of rudimentary creation tools in it, so you can make your own like kind of sub games inside of Roblox and then share them out to friends who can play them. And so Epic brought this up, and they were like, isn't this a game store on your platform? Because that's been one of the big things, is that all kind of transactions and back and forth has to go through the Apple Store, and you can't have a store with a sub store if you're a game.
Because games can't have an app store, a game store.
Yeah, because they're two separate things. Apps and games are different. At which point started my favorite thing of this entire week, where like Roblox was just like, it's not a game, they're experiences. They're not games, they're experiences. This is what the Apple attorney was saying. And that where was that quote about Minecraft that I think is just like, it just says, it's just so much the like, you're saying this thing. Okay, here we go. I look at experiences that are in Roblox similar to the experiences that are in Minecraft. These are maps. These are worlds, and they have boundaries in terms of what they're capable of. So, and this is specifically to say that they are not games. It is not a game. It's experience. And then Roblox apparently has changed. They've removed the word game from like the description of their thing.
From the actual app. You open up the app and the word game is not in there.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating, and it makes sense, I guess. And ironically, like, the joke of a game has a beginning and an end and challenges, and like Minecraft is a game. I think like Minecraft like is an ecosystem of games. I don't know enough about Roblox, but it sounds like some of the things people create in Roblox could be games, but maybe just the basic Roblox experience is just a social 3D space, which is still fascinating, the amount of people that play it.
It said in this Polygon article, it said more than half of what people below 16,
kids under 16.
Yeah, more than half of U.S. kids under the age of 16 logged in to play Roblox in 2020. That's the golden goose demographic. Like, are you kidding me? Holy shit.
I mean, even if it's they say logged on to play. So I mean, even if that's played once, that's a huge ton of at bats for Roblox.
Yeah,
like, that's good because there are development studios of people who make things for and in Roblox. Like that's how big this market is that game studios can flourish simply within the Roblox engine, the ecosystem. So and if we look at what happened with Xbox, where the rules say no, if you're a game store, if you're a game service, you have to list all of your games. Well, that's a nightmare scenario for Roblox.
Yeah,
way more than for Xbox and Game Pass. Wow.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, it's interesting just to see in this tweet that was in this article where they literally changed like the verbiage inside of the game. So instead of saying continue playing, it just says continue. And instead of friends playing, it says friends visiting. And it says like discover instead of games. And it says experiences instead of games. And like, yeah, so they've literally scrubbed it. I actually think that Roblox is going to be, I might need to, I'm not going to get into Roblox. I say 6 months before I get way into Roblox. But here's the thing: is that Roblox is currently busting out, and they're getting investment money. They're blowing up. They're becoming way bigger, and they're coming like more directly into the space. So I think it would be nice, maybe at some point. Maybe I'll have to just play enough Roblox to be like, okay, I understand what's going on here because I literally don't understand. Like I hear it and it's just I don't understand. I mean, I always thought Roblox, those were just like those Lego ripoff guys, but then I look at the screenshot and there's like a bunch of people and like dragons, and there's like a French fries with little smiley faces on them for some reason. And I'm like, what are you doing, children? What's going on in Roblox, children? Somebody explain to the elders what is going on in Roblox.
when you Google Roblox, the site description that shows up on Google is Roblox is a global platform that brings people together through play. So you may not be gaming, but you might be playing.
Weird.
That's strange.
This is very weird. It's very weird. Well, you know what? On that happy note, I think we're going to go ahead and take a break. We still have more news to go through, but of course we do. Of course we still have more news. I think, Bryce, we got
the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
We got the heavy stuff.
Yeah, the rest of this is easy peasy. Man, the rest of this is easy. I got a whole story here about Mario Golf. It's going to take 5 seconds. I swear to God. Woo! We'll be see you in just a minute. We can do Mario Golf. And Bryce is no more Roblox. I promise, no more Roblox, for the entire podcast.
They look weird. They're so blocky.
Actually, I included this story just for you because I know that you are a fan of the Blazeball. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which apparently the game band, the people who make Blazeball, have raised $3 million of seed capital in order to put out a mobile version of the Blazeball app, which I would have assumed would already have been a thing, especially given how simple their website was. I figured it would have been mobile compatible, but
that was the nice thing because using it on mobile through the mobile website was usually pretty good. I found it better on mobile than on desktop because I have sign in with Apple, and then that just it's a whole thing. But on mobile was the right way to do it. But I'm glad they're doing an app. Hopefully that helps with some of the kind of the server load issues that they'd been dealing with. But this is cool.
It also seems like the sort of thing, if I remember, because this is it's kind of like a strange fantasy baseball, that it seems like the sort of thing that could really benefit from having like notifications right on your phone to be like, oh, the new draft, your
Absolutely.
team did a thing. I don't know. I tried to play one time and I think the servers were offline or something, but yeah. So Good job, Blazeball.
This is cool. Yeah.
In other sports news, we got Mario Golf Super Rush. We got a new trailer showing the battle mode as well as a bunch of kind of basics of the game. This is one of those ones where I am absolutely 100% certain that Mario Golf Super Rush is going to be a fun game for fun people that want to play a golf game. And unfortunately, one of those three things is not who I am. And it's the wants to play a golf game, no matter how good you make your golf game. I'm not super interested, but it looks really fun if that's what you're into. I don't know. I did play a lot of hole one golf on the Super Nintendo, but
they've changed a lot. I feel like what I'll say is this looks like a departure from kind of the previous golf stuff that was more like the Hot Shot series, right? Hot Shots has some I don't know, some lineage back to the team that made the original Mario Golf and Hot Shots. Mm-hmm. But this is kind of I don't know. This is such a strange thing. It's like, yes, there's golf, but then sometimes it's kind of arcadey fantasy golf, and then there's the battling and the
like 5 people playing golf simultaneously,
right?
Like knocking each other's balls away. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I guess there has to be. I mean, you gotta. I don't really know because I've never looked into it. But you got to figure that there's an audience for like the Mario Tennis, Mario Strikers, Mario Golf. That like there has to be at least enough of an audience for the Mario themed sports games that are both like a pretty decent sports simulator, but then also have a bunch of kind of fantasy, goofy Mario stuff in it. Because they keep making them, and if I know one thing about Nintendo, it's that they would not keep making them if there was not money coming into their bank account. Nintendo doesn't do anything just for the love of the. It's not like we lose money on all these Mario games, but just keep making them because I love tennis so much. But especially this newly announced battle mode is really weird, where it's like everybody's playing several courses simultaneously, and the first person to golf 3 golfs wins golf. I don't know. It's very bizarre.
It reminds me a little bit of Destruction All Stars. Is that it on the PS5? The Demolition Derby game. Mm-hmm. It feels like that, where it's like kind of it's got this like game show look to it, and it doesn't really look like anything else looks. It doesn't look like a golf course or a stage. There's a lot of stuff that's not exactly golf in this, and I think that's a distraction.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's the appeal. Maybe like, but I guess that brings up an interesting question. I don't really know. Is like, is there somebody that's still making like Super PGA Tour 2021 with like the 13 most popular golf courses, but now they're digital and you can play them online, and we got DLC for the links coming next year. Get your Tiger Woods skin to play online against a bunch of other people. Like, is this the only golf game in town? Because I feel like I follow this stuff pretty well, and I don't remember. I mean, there's obviously there's like FIFA, there's Madden, there's basketball games, there's hockey games, every year. But I don't feel like that there is any kind of like golf simulator out there, at least not one that I've seen in the last couple of years. So,
I think. I want to say there has been PGA games. I don't know specifically, but I think that there have been PGA games, and I think they're talking about bringing Tiger Woods back. But then you also have the Hot Shots Everybody's Golf at least on the PlayStation, and now on Apple Arcade. Weird.
I 100% have no idea what I'm talking about. Last year, there was a PGA Tour 2K21, came out in August on the PlayStation, on the Xbox, the Switch, Stadia, PC, everything. Of course, looking back through this list, though, like, it doesn't appear that that's a thing that's happened every year. I guess Tiger Woods PGA Tour 12. Yeah, I don't know. I guess there's
because they got rid of they stopped using Tiger Woods' name, so I think they were kind of jumping between things.
Here's the Golf Club 2019 featuring PGA Tour. It came out in August of 2018. I don't know. I guess there's golf games. Who knew?
There are golf games, and I mean it's. I think this is fine. This is probably in the opposite budget, but in the same vein of like Golf Story to me. Like it's fun golf. It's like fun adventure golf, but it doesn't feel like sport golf, if that makes sense. Which is fine, but just not for me.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what's not for me. Or I don't know. I actually don't have as much of a problem with this as I feel like a lot of the rest of the internet does. But in other Nintendo news this week, we found out that in Skyward Sword HD, the $25 Zelda with Big Bird amiibo will give you the Loftwing. I'm sorry, don't at me. Will give you the ability to instantly warp back to the Sky Village and then just go back to wherever you are. So previously, it was like there were points in the game where you would bring up a menu and you would go up there, and there's like, I think if I remember correctly, the Sky Village is like there's a shop up there and some upgrade stuff that's up there. You like buy potions and upgrade your sword, but you had to go there from very specific points in the map. And this amiibo will allow you to basically warp back up there and then warp all the way back down to where you are now. I don't know. You might know better than I if you followed this. Like, there was some question in some of the articles I was reading about, like, is this a power that you can get in the game, like, at some point, and that this amiibo will just allow you to access that recall thing sooner? Like, is this an option they put in as a quality of life improvement that then this amiibo just lets you, kind of like other amiibos, like skip the line to like get a leg up if you have the amiibo, but not something where there's a core functionality that's been added to the game that is literally tied to buying this $25 piece of plastic in addition to the game. And I'm not entirely certain that wouldn't be the case, but I think a lot of the assumptions at this point have been like, look at the scumbags at Nintendo who want to charge you extra $25 in order to do something that would be considered kind of a normal gameplay feature in a lot of other games. But I don't know.
But there's also the element that
they did put out a whole trailer showing it.
Yeah, from reading this, it seems like that this is a new ability. Like the fast travel, it was not really there wasn't a fast travel power like this in the original game, which makes me feel a little bit better if they decide that this is the only way to use it, only because the game was still designed with the existing, travel structure as it was.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's the craziest thing. I am not against amiibo, but watching that trailer, the video of them actually using it, using amiibo just seems like such a process that the features that they're using, would have to be easier to do this in another way. Like I bet you maybe get it later in the game. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, because there's this whole just like open the menu, choose use amiibo. Fee comes up and asks you to put the amiibo on. You put the amiibo on, and then it's like, where do you want to go?
Here's another menu.
Do you want to go? And you say yes. So then you do it, and then you go, and there's a cutscene. But then if I remember correctly, Skyward Sword was the Zelda game where like, if you turned off the game and then reopened it and then picked up like a rupee, the game would be like, this is a rupee, it's money, you use it to buy stuff. Like it was very intrusive and very like, there was a lot of, I remember there being a lot of speed bumps of the game wanting to stop to explain everything, and not just once, like it would explain it, and then if I saved and quit and started back up again, it would start explaining it to me again as if I had forgotten. Which was very bizarre. But I don't know. I wonder, I mean, like Nintendo has their own set of problems, but I don't feel like I've seen, maybe can you think of a situation where they've tied any like core game feature like this to an amiibo and then it hasn't been available elsewhere and it's not just like an advantage, like a bonus?
Well, this is a very specific, but they did the Animal Crossing board game, the Animal Crossing version of Mario Party, where every player had every physical play. It was like a pass and play game. Every player had an amiibo that they like tapped to do things to prove that you had the amiibo, and you had to use it would come with compatible ones, but you would have to have an Animal Crossing amiibo or these different trading cards that they had in other games.
I don't know.
But that's so strange.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I've never seen Nintendo. I would expect this from other companies, and like I said, Nintendo has their own set of problems, but I don't normally associate this sort of like locking a feature behind essentially a paywall to be a Nintendo thing, because they tend to be a little bit more egalitarian about like, fun for everyone. Everybody can have a bunch of fun, do a bunch of fun stuff. But I don't know.
They did that with Splatoon. It was Splatoon or Splatoon 2, where they had like sets of missions you could unlock exclusively from having the series of 3 Splatoon figure amiibo. And that was a while ago too.
I guess the other weird.
I don't think that I wouldn't put it past them doing it, especially if it's something like beneficial, right? Like that's how they worked in Breath of the Wild. You would get something. You get like, items or even something big like a summon, or I don't know what,
like a weapon or something. Yeah. I don't know, but I can also say though that not having this feature, I don't think is going to make this game unplayable, because I played all the way through it and this feature wasn't there and it was fine. It's a Zelda game. Like, most Zelda games don't let you just warp from the dungeon back to town. Part of the challenge of a lot of Zelda games is playing through, having the resource management to get all the way to the end of the dungeon, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. In other news where you get to buy stuff, I guess, EA has patented a new thing, which I think is actually kind of cool. It's a different sort of battle pass, where essentially instead of, because normally you have like your season progression, and then if you buy the battle pass, you kind of have a separate track of rewards that you get as you level up. But this one is going to allow you to essentially branch off and choose different rewards depending on what you want. I guess it could be seen as like two ways. In one way it's like, this is EA letting you choose what you want instead of like just forcing a bunch of battle pass crap you don't want down your throat. And on the other hand, I guess you could say, right, but if you're some kind of completionist that wants everything that's on the battle pass, does this mean you have to buy like 2 battle passes to get multiple everything? Which, as somebody who again has completely lost the plot on FOMO battle pass, I just do not care about getting all the weapon skins for this month. Like, this isn't a big thing. But then also part of this had another piece of it in this patent that said, the patent mentions pausing gameplay for each of the clients except the first client when the in-game status is favorable to pausing the gameplay for the first client. Which I feel like this article on VG247 is indicating. They seem to be interpreting this as like, if you level up, that then like at an appropriate moment, the server will pause the game for everyone in order for you to make the choice of which battle pass path you want, or what reward you want, like halting everybody else's game so that you can do that, which that's what they're assuming. But that seems like insane to me that they would do that. That just seems like it would be nothing but bad.
Well, and I don't know how the game works, but when would it ever happen during a match?
Yeah.
Don't you get your experience stuff in between matches anyway? So unless they're looking at like a live persistent game, yeah. What is strange is that this is a patent that like EA, I don't know if they filed this. They filed a patent for the fucking dress spheres. Like, man, we like, I don't know what you can patent here, right? This is you can't just patent a tree graph.
Yeah, you would think so, but then I mean, I was going to bring up the Nemesis system, but that's a lot more involved than just like, and then people get a choice, and that's us. Only our game can have the you get a choice thing. Even
Only one.
Even that one patent that we looked into that had the whole kind of like AI data store like difficulty changing, even that was a lot more sophisticated than just, I mean, I didn't actually look into the patent specifically, so it's possible that there might be more going on, but this one doesn't have any of the pictures.
It seems very basic, right? The virtual map can provide a visual representation of a non-linear pathway or tracks that a user can follow based on how they would like to. Like, it's a family tree. It's a branching path. You can't patent that.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
Fuck.
We'll see. Let's see. In other news, we got some Mass Effect updates since Mass Effect Legendary Edition came out. Bryce, you can play Mass Effect Legendary Edition. You can play all 3 Mass Effect games back to back from start to finish.
I'm going to pass.
There's a couple things in here. One of the interesting things, there's a lot of like weird fixes that didn't get immediately publicized. One of them is that Tally as a picture has been changed. There was kind of a flap. I don't know if you know this in Mass Effect 3 where it was like if you romance Tally all the way to the end of the game, you got this picture with her out of her suit because she never takes her suit off, and you got this picture of her out of her suit, and then people immediately found that it was just a Getty Images stock photo where they chopped off some of her fingers and they made her eyes white and they did some tuning on it, but it was literally, you could find the image of like lady standing in front of a field, and apparently one of the things they did was they just like created an actual photo from scratch. I'm a little torn on this because, you know, the only thing in this photo is that she's taken the face shield off. So all of the, like in the other one, it's like she'd taken her whole suit off, which was a big thing for the Quarians. But in this one, it's like, well, you could just see her face. She looks like a person with wide eyes. It's like, cool. Super, super cool.
It's cute. Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's cute. It makes me think that, and I don't know anything about Mass Effect, but it makes me think that this image, you know, this rendering of her with her face mask off, means that they want to use her character for something, right? Like that would be why you would switch. I think this image is there's a fun Easter egg because people made a big thing about it before.
Yeah.
Or B, because you want to use this character more in the franchise.
Possibly. One other thing that we got, this is actually very strange to me, is that so Mass Effect 3 had this whole multiplayer game that you played in order to get your galactic readiness up, and then there was like it was one of the first games that had like loot boxes, and there was a whole number in Mass Effect 3 in order to get the good ending that you had to get it up to 100, and the only way to do it previously was you had to play the entire game and then you played the multiplayer to get it all the way up to 100, and they took that out for the Legendary Edition. But there's some interviews here where it sounds like if the community really 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 wants it, that they might look into putting the multiplayer back in to the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which like it's not the worst multiplayer in the world because it's largely PvE and like you have all your special Mass Effect powers. It's just a bunch of people playing a third person kind of horde mode action game with a Mass Effect skin on it. Like I remember playing it and it being fine, except that the loot boxes were a little bit of a pain in the ass because you had to get the really high tier loot boxes to get any chance of getting like the type of character, the special characters that you wanted to play as opposed to just generic gun skins. But so yeah, if y'all are super into it, you can yell loud enough, maybe EA will listen.
Yeah, because it would need this game to be not just like selling well, but gigantic, I think, for anyone to even think about working on multiplayer features.
Yeah. I mean, it does have loot boxes in it, though. So if they put that back into game, I'm sure they would make some money from people buying loot boxes with real money.
They're kind of at an interesting point because the game is basically shipped, and it's shipped, I mean, as complete, right? They told people there wouldn't be multiplayer. So they kind of get to test the waters on, does it do well, or does it do like really well that we can extract a live game out of this now?
Yeah.
And we'll see. It sounded like some of these teams were on thin ice.
Yeah, I honestly don't think this is going to happen because the people that want it are going to be vocal and minute. There's not going to be a huge outcry from gamers everywhere of just bring back the crappy multiplayer mode of Mass Effect. Especially because I feel like they would only bring it back if they could put the loot boxes in, and then everybody be like, EA, you guys suck with your loot boxes. Be like, you asked for this. But anyway, right. I don't see it come back. In other online multiplayer news, we got some very small amount of Division Heartland gameplay that got leaked. I actually... when I sent this over to you, I sent this over to you with a link to something that was actually not the Division Heartland at all. It was like an expansion to the Division 2. So because Ubisoft has been out there like aggressively taking down clips, like if you try to go to the original Twitter user who posted a pic, their account has been suspended from Twitter. I mean, their account was Sky Leaks, but and then apparently Ubisoft did this thing where like whenever you were playing the game, there was like a big like code
watermark,
right? No, it was just like all across the middle of your screen was like a 25-digit identification code. See, this is one of those things where let's get this out of the way because this is the dumb part. It looks like the Division. It looks like the Division with some slight changes to it. Like there's some better movement, some sliding and stuff. To me, the more interesting thing here is that they did a beta that they let human beings into and then have been aggressively like trying to take down footage, screenshots, or whatever. And in fact, there was this quote from this Epperly person who's running the beta where it's like, please don't be the one who ruins the surprise for the larger Division community. Don't take pictures of this and put it online. And I'm like, I really don't understand how in the year 2021 you could give gamers access to a beta of a thing. And like, it was obviously on Twitch the same day. There's obviously going to be footage floating around and screenshots and stuff like that. Like you can't, unless you're doing like an internal test, there's no way that you're going to keep this stuff from going out onto the internet. And I just feel like we've been through this so many times that all that happens is you look like an asshole for aggressively taking down any video on YouTube or any tweet or anything that shows your beta game, because we're past that. We know what's going to happen. You put it in beta, people are going to put it online. Like, I don't know.
Maybe this is what they expected, though. Right? Is, of course, because they're Ubisoft, so of course footage will leak, and of course there will be, I don't know, this little moment of like, well, they're taking down the clips and blah 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 blah. But I think this is probably better than if nobody leaked any footage. Like, I think for Ubisoft, this is letting people know. Was not aware. I don't follow Division stuff at all.
That the game even exists.
A new one, that it even existed, right?
Not just that, it's going to be free to play. Like they're going totally free to play.
And it's so hot they've had to ban all the footage.
Yep. I'm going to skip some of these things here. This is interesting. We had the news last week. I actually didn't know about this until I heard about the larger merger from somebody else. But Discovery acquired Warner Media from AT&T.
They're
merging. And then part of that is the question is what's going to happen with WB Games, that's made up of like 11 different studios. There's Rocksteady, there's the NetherRealm is part of that umbrella. It's a bunch of different studios make a bunch of different games, and it looks like they're going to be probably broken apart and kind of individually. Like some will be kept. I'd be willing to believe that they're going to keep Rocksteady and NetherRealm, and probably some of those what you get like a Warner Brothers North or I don't even know what the WB Interactive Ottawa or something like that, the individually built stuff. I guess they'll probably keep Traveler's Tales as well, because the Lego games always make a shitload of money. I guess, though, the question is really, I don't really know that much about this. I don't know if you've really looked much into the whole Warner Media Discovery merger thing about is this the sort of thing where Discovery was really just trying to get Warner Media, and then suddenly they've got a bunch of these game studios that they've got to figure out what to do with, or was there always a plan to incorporate the more profitable ones and let the ones that were working on stuff that may not pan out kind of go?
It's strange because it's AT&T kind of siloing off their media division and also folding in Discovery, so it's kind of its own thing. In terms of where these studios get split, okay, so AT&T holds the new gaming division, and I can see where on a studio level having these development arms, these studios that can also make CG graphics or whatever that can be used in video production. I think there's something there. I don't know how much, because we don't get a sense of who is going where.
Yeah.
It's very strange. It's a very strange time. I don't know how this works in, because right now it's the media play is about streaming services and video and film.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. Also interesting to me is apparently Starfield is not going to be on the PlayStation 5. So this is something where Bethesda, Microsoft acquired Bethesda, and there was always a question of, which winning track will Microsoft go down? Will it be, we're going to, we are going to take a piece of the profit of games that are sold on our competitor systems, or are we going to bracket these games into exclusives to try to get people into Game Pass, to get people into consoles? My money was on put it on all the consoles and then just take the profits. But it appears that for Starfield, that they want to make this something to attract people to Game Pass and the Xbox ecosystem specifically. I think this is huge. I guess that's what the assumption that we know what Starfield is, because all we've ever seen is this teaser announcement at E3 2018, and there literally hasn't been anything since then. So maybe it's a big pile of garbage and it's no good. But if it's Skyrim in space, or if it's something of that magnitude, then it would be really interesting to see something that big. It would be the first time that we've seen something from this Bethesda Microsoft merger that was direct output that is going to benefit Microsoft in a huge way, and potentially engender some really hurt feelings on the part of, if you bought a PlayStation 5 and you want to play Bethesda's games, and suddenly it's well, now this huge publisher developer is starting to section off pieces of their content into, platform exclusivity. It'd be interesting to see. I'd be really interested to know what do you think about this, first off?
I was reading up on this the other day, and it kind of made me reevaluate Bethesda. I don't have an Xbox. I have a PC, I guess. And it's Skyrim. I've played Skyrim in a million years, and I don't play Elder Scrolls Online. I haven't liked the last two Fallouts. So what it, I guess Dishonored's maybe not my bag, but like in all, what is the like influence of Bethesda? And it just made me go, oh, it's a lot lesser for me. Maybe I just don't have that pool. Maybe there are less people. I don't know, less general appeal for Bethesda. I don't know. So it I don't know. It was a weird rationalizing, I guess, of like, well, the game's probably not going to be good anyway, which is not what I think. We don't know anything about the fucking game.
We know absolutely nothing. We know absolutely nothing.
Literally nothing.
Yeah.
But it'll be what it is.
Yeah, I think knowing more about it would be interesting. Like I haven't looked into whether this E3 2018 was this just a teaser of like we're 6 months into development, so we're going to make a CG teaser, or is Starfield like, well, we've been working on this. One team started work on this after Skyrim shipped, and we've been working on it for 10 years, and it's this huge outer space RPG in the vein of like a Fallout, but it's like in space. I don't know. Again, that's just assumptions. That's just the assumption that Bethesda only knows how to make one game, and they made one version with dragons and one version with the post-apocalypse, and now they made another version that's in spaceships, and that's all they know how to do. So yeah, who knows?
After like not even close to the release of Outer Worlds, right? Like I don't know, for whatever reason, it felt like Outer Worlds came and everyone was like, well, what about Starfield? Isn't it and Starfield going to eat each other's lunch? And there's just this mile-long gap between the two now.
Yeah. I don't know. I also, though, think that this might be the beginning of starting to see, like, Microsoft has been setting up all these dominoes, and they're finally in a position to start, like, because they really got boned last generation. Like, they really got boned with, and
it's still bad now.
Yeah. I think it's better now that like Game Pass has started to give them all this cachet, but like the one thing that Microsoft has been missing is console exclusives for the entire last generation. The Xbox One, Forza, Gears, Halo, Sea of Thieves, a few things, but not like as many things as you saw in the PlayStation ecosystem. If only because a lot of the weird Bandai Namco Japanese nonsense would only come to the PlayStation. It wouldn't get ported to both platforms, and so you would have a bunch of like overseas stuff that would come over. So I don't know, but I think that this could be big. Then this could be the beginning of seeing if they're willing to section off a full Bethesda video game and make it a console exclusive. That could be the beginning of a lot of stuff with, if there's an Evil Within 3 from Tango Softworks and that's an Xbox exclusive, and, if Outer Worlds 2 is an Xbox exclusive, if, Psychonauts ends up with console exclusive DLC, like they've got a lot of stuff set up that could really put them in a really aggressively competitive place. So,
well, and with stock shortages, if you have enough of these, because it sounds like we kind of still expect it'll be tough to get a next generation console for a while.
Yeah.
You have potential buyers who you have a lot more eyes to get people to change sides, right? Like, oh well, if you can put a box in front of my face, I'll go with this one.
Yeah.
And you can do that when you have a Starfield, when you have whatever, Skyrim 2 or whatever, when you have
Elder Scrolls 6. We don't want to get into the Jedi Knight naming convention for Elder Scrolls.
Shin Megami Tensei, Skyrim, Persona 5.
Yeah.
But if you have enough of those and Game Pass as an input, an endpoint, like I think that this is a chance if they can get all of these things to work right in the same like rhythm. This could convert a lot more people back to Xbox.
I agree. I agree. Let's see. If you don't have an Xbox, maybe you want to play Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart. We got a weapons trailer that showed a bunch of the crazy weapons. I don't know how I could possibly have forgotten this, but we had Zircon Jr., which indicates that Mr. Zircon might be in Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart, and potentially with Zircon Jr., that means we might get the whole Zircon family. Now, for anybody who's Squaresville and doesn't play Ratchet and Clank, Mr. Zircon is this robot that follows you around and is just like human life means nothing to Mr. Zircon. Like it's just this, it's kind of like a cartoon version of like HK-47 that follows you around and blasts guys. And you deploy it, it stays out for a while, and it's got a lot of really fun stuff. I remember really liking it. And then like later on, Mr. Zircon was in one of the PS3 games. And then later on, it got upgraded to the whole Zircon family. So he had like a wife, and then Zircon Jr., who's in this trailer. I'm really, really excited for Ratchet Clank. I really, really can't wait to play Ratchet Clank. I'm so happy that we're finally back to more Ratchet and Clank. Bryce, are you really excited for Ratchet and Clank?
It's fascinating because kind of I guess growing up or whatever, being around the original Ratchet and Clank and having that never jive, never really clicking with that, and then kind of feeling disconnected because of that from all of the other games that are good. I've heard this. I don't know if it's just because I want more PS5 games or what, but this looks really interesting, and it feels like a fresh start. After as this game's had X at bats to get better and better. Like this looks really cool.
Yeah, I agree. I can't wait to play it. Let's see. We also had. We got a new trailer for Dark Pictures anthology House of Ashes, which I believe is this year's Dark Pictures anthology release game, which appears to be a bunch of... We had a teaser for this at the end of the last one, Little Hope, I think, of a bunch of soldiers kind of like in an underground temple, and there's like demons, and they're getting hunted. I really, really, really liked Man of Medan, and I thought that Dark Pictures Little Hope was meh. So I'm hoping that House of Ashes pulls it back up, because one of the nice things about this anthology is that it happens every year. And like last year, I think it came out... last year they kind of messed it up because it came out like a week after Halloween, and I think that the first year it was like a week before Halloween, so me and Matt were able to play all the way through it for our Halloween feature. Have you played any of these, Bryce?
I haven't, but I'm glad to see that they're able to do this, that they are still doing this, not episodic, but the anthology is the perfect word for it. These kind of smaller interactive narrative stories. I did think that the teaser trailer that they put out was pretty funny. The idea that like, hey, come check out the full gameplay of the Dark Pictures anthology. You're gonna click. You're gonna make choices and move your guy around. Like,
Yep.
What is
There's going to be an online mode where your friend can choose not to pull you out of a hole and then you'll die. Or there's going to be a quick time event. There's going to be a lot of quick time events. And
I know what it's going to be.
That one spooky dude's going to come out with his book and tell you stuff like the devil. Yeah, so we had that. We also had, I didn't actually send Bryce this, but we did get a Back for Blood Meet the Cleaners trailer that kind of just went through all of the different player characters that you're going to get in Back for Blood that have slightly different, each one of them has some different powers that you can apply. I'm really torn on this because every trailer for Back for Blood, like, it looks really good, and I really like how kind of fast and frenetic and action packed it is. But then I remembered that, like, when I played, I had nothing but bad experiences playing Left 4 Dead because I tried to come into it once it was already established, and everybody just got mad at me because I didn't know what to do. And they would just be like, you're too slow, you're not doing the right thing, get the fuck out of here, And so I I like the concept of Left 4 Dead, but all the experiences that I've had playing it have been unpleasant. Also, it's really exhausting because it just keeps, the hordes don't stop. They just keep coming and coming and coming. But I don't know.
One thing I wonder about this is because it's not like I think a big difference here is, in Left 4 Dead, you only had 4 characters, and everyone sat kind of in those archetypes. Where here, there's a lot of options, and it's almost like balancing a hero like Overwatch, right? Like you might need characters of different archetypes, and then suddenly this is a different game, right? This is almost like a competitive type of game, or it feels different once you're out of, there are only 4 characters and you have to have 4 of these exact people.
Yeah, there was another trailer they put out a few weeks back that went into some detail about how there's this whole card system where the individual players will play like cards to give themselves attributes, like to give them powers, like fire damage heals you, or like double rounds in your magazines. But then the AI director will then play like adversarial cards where it's like the zombies have bile attacks, or like double creepy creeps or something like that. And so it looks like they are trying to take that very kind of basic framework of Left 4 Dead, but then add enough twists in it to make it feel more customizable, less of like you have to know what to do, as opposed to having the option to play certain cards certain ways. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm interested. I hope this works, though, because I feel like this is Turtle Rock's last chance. If this doesn't work, they're done. Let's see. We got the very, very strange trailer this week for Lies of P, which appears to be Pinocchio meets Dark Souls, with the moody Geppetto bringing in his case of puppets to a cathedral full of monsters. And that's an ad. Sorry. Yeah, I never thought I would read the headline like, what if From Software made a Pinocchio game, y'all? Also, I'd like to put a check in the column of like, you don't have to make everything into Dark Souls, you guys. Like, it doesn't. I know it's hot. I know that Dark Souls is so hot right now, but yeah, I don't know.
This didn't do it. Doesn't do anything for me. Okay, all right, yeah. A mouse coming out of this dead corpse's mouth. Cool.
It feels like a Mad Lib, right? Like it feels like you know what it feels like. It's like if you ever play Game Dev Simulator and you have a very limited number of like genres and things, and you're just like, what if it's fairy tales and Dark Souls? It's like, yes, Pinocchio Souls, that, and then you put it out, and then you get to go to F3 or whatever their fake E3 is, a Game Dev Simulator. Apparently, though, in this article, they did say that there is going to be some kind of lie system where your nose gets longer if you lie, and I'm like, why? I don't understand. I don't understand.
Souls like that's nope.
Not everything. Crazy. Not everything has to be Dark Souls. We also got news that some things are coming to the PS5. The Last of Us 2 got a performance patch that lets it play on the PS5 at 60 FPS, and there's some other stuff in there as well. So not like a full on remaster. There's a trailer out for it, and at first I was like, oh, they did some work on this. I was like, no, I'm pretty sure this is just the PlayStation 4 version running it as high as you can push it on a PS5, because it already looked really good by default. So we got that. We also got a release date for the GTA 5, GTA Online, PS5, Xbox Series X/S release, which is going to be November 11th. This is all teased right all the way back at the. It's like the first thing on the PlayStation 5 reveal. No, it was first Miles Morales, and then it was like this was right after it or something like that.
It opened. It was the very first thing. It was GTA Online will be on the PlayStation 5, and you'll get free GTA. Like they started the thing off with like you'll get free GTA money if you do this.
Wow.
Yeah. These are okay, Jeff. I own GTA 5 on the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4 and on PC. I'm not doing it again, Jeff. I'm not doing it again, Jeff.
Well, you get to continue playing your character on the PS5, right?
I'm not. I have it on P. I might not because I've already transferred it to PC.
Oh, okay. I would be more inclined to play back through the story of Grand Theft Auto 5. I've never been interested in the online. I've tried playing it a few times and I was like, eh. But it is amazing that, November 11th will be right after the first full year of PlayStation 5's existence in this world, and that is the date when a PlayStation 3 game will get fully ported to the PlayStation 5. I mean, at this point, people are like, when's Grand Theft Auto 6? And it's like, well, never. Obviously, they're just going to keep putting Grand Theft Auto 5 out on more and more things. Yeah.
And they're also doing, which they did this with Red Dead 2 last year, where they're splitting out GTA Online as like its own separate thing. So like I bought, and I kind of I don't know why I did, but I bought Red Dead Online for like $2 or something on a sale. So I don't have the single player game, but I do have the online, and that was an interesting way to experience that game. And they know that people get in, especially for GTA Online, they get in and they'll buy GTA money. Like it's already a huge money maker for them. This is what they'll give it out for free. We're at that point.
Yeah. I was actually more interested though in Saints Row the Third remastered coming to the PS5 and the Xbox Series X/S. That's
another PS3 game.
Right? Yes. Well, I think they actually did some work.
Not the remastered one.
Yeah. But yeah, the original Saints Row the Third was on the PlayStation 3. And then the remaster came out last year on the PS4 and the Xbox One. And then there's actually another next gen version, or that version is getting ported onto the newer consoles with some enhancements. It's funny because there's a list of enhancements here. And it's like, oh, the Xbox Series S can play it in performance mode or beauty mode, et cetera, et cetera. And then like in the list of things that you can do on this next gen version, I like how it's like PlayStation 5 owners are getting activity support as well as a subtle Saints purple glow on the DualSense controller. And it's like, ooh, you turned the LED to purple, did you? That's a real remaster right there. I highly recommend. I've been saving Saints Row the Third remastered for a special occasion. I'm glad we didn't get to play it because Jason and I have a very special character that we play in Saints Row the Third, and I purchased it when it originally came out, but never got around to actually playing it because of the dumb pandemic. So we'll see. But Saints Row the Third is great. Have you ever played any of the Saints Row games?
I have played Saints Row the Third, I think.
Okay.
I've played through that. Did I beat that? I think I beat that.
So,
yeah, I did play a good bit of that.
Burt Reynolds is the mayor, and there's all kinds of. That's the one where they introduce like they're singing along in the car, like the big flying aircraft carrier comes in at the end, and you have to fight like guys in cyber planes and stuff like that.
Something like that. Yeah, not the really goofy the fourth one, right? That fourth one was the really goofy one.
The fourth one was where you became a superhero.
You were cyber.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, not that one. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, okay. That's right. That's a good game. Saints Row the Third's a good game.
It is. We also got the news last week that Ghostrunner is getting a sequel. It's got double the budget of the first one. I never got super far in Ghostrunner, but everybody really liked it, from what I heard. It was kind of a Mirror's Edge meets Hotline Miami because one shot will kill you, but you can run on walls and go into slow motion and chop up dudes with a sword. So, yeah, good.
We didn't do a quick look of we didn't do a
we played the demo.
The demo, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then I remember playing it. I played a little bit on the Xbox Series X version, I think, that came out a while back. TimeSplitters is also...
That's fast. That's a fast turnaround. Sorry, from that demo to the first game being super popular.
Yeah. Yeah. New TimeSplitters game is in development. Just like nothing for reals, but it's in development. I didn't really ever get into TimeSplitters, but apparently Deep Silver has reformed Free Radical Design with some of the developers of the original TimeSplitters games in order to make a new TimeSplitters, which, again, I never really played. I as near as I could tell, it was like kind of GoldenEye, but then time tripping, kind of going to different time periods and doing different stuff. So I'm sure it'll make somebody happy. I don't know. Let's see. Speaking of stuff that makes people happy, Resident Evil Infinite Darkness got another trailer. I don't know why. I don't know. All of the Resident Evil CGI movies are bad and they're terrible and they're stupid. And I don't know why I'm excited again, even though I shouldn't be. This looks like it's going to be just bad. It looks bad to me. It's Leon looking pensively into the camera. There's one part of this trailer. Did you watch this?
No, I'm watching it for the first time here.
Okay. There's one part in this trailer where I don't remember who the lady is. She was in RE6, where there's a point where this, it's like a trailer and she's just like, if we don't find out what's going on here, nobody's going to be safe. And the guy's like, you're out of order. And then he just like turns around and walks away. And I was like, what is this? I don't know. I have a long history.
This is what all the Warner game development studios are going to be doing if they're not in the games division. They're going to be making movies like this.
Yeah. This is going to be a whole series on Netflix.
Oh, it's a series.
Yeah. And I don't know. The problem for me is that this is both the side of Resident Evil and the part in the timeline of Resident Evil when everything has gone so stupid and goofy that you got to deal with Resident Evil zombies in the White House and Leon Kennedy and Ada Wong and Umbrella and BOWs and most of it is regular, and then at the very end they're like in this big Resident Evil underground sewage treatment plant or something with a bunch of green lights, and it's gonna be bad. It's not gonna be any good. It's gonna be terrible. I don't know why I expect anything different, but
you're gonna watch it.
Oh yeah,
you're gonna watch all of it too.
100%.
Oh, what the fuck is that? They had a damn orc.
That's just
There's an orc at the end of the trailer.
This is how I know it's going to be bad, because this guy is a big Resident Evil monster in this trailer, right? He's in their sewage treatment plant with all the Nemesis bodies over here, right? And he's just like, I'll show you the meaning of fear. But he looks like a fucking orc and an ant had a baby. Where's the giant eyeball?
He looks like fucking Groot.
Yeah. Where is his giant eyeball that's the weak point that you have to shoot? He's only got 2 arms. What kind of Resident Evil monster is this? There's not a trash bag. He doesn't have a fucked up nose. Nothing is right about this guy as a bad guy in Resident Evil. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be terrible. And last but not least, I finally found my new favorite Resident Evil mod, which is the every time you look at Lady Dimitrescu, her hat gets bigger Resident Evil mod, which is amazing because every time you turn away and then she comes back into view, her hat has gained like 20% size, because there's a point early on in the game when she chases you around, and so you have to keep escaping from her. And I absolutely love this mod because she's just got this hat that gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Huge. Oh, that's great.
And it's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know if
sometimes you can see her under the huge hat just because of the angle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great.
Yep. I don't know if it quite beats last week's. First they put Chris's head on the baby model, and then they put the baby head on Chris's model swap. But this one's pretty good. I was showing Tessa, who I'm playing all the way through Village with on our Patreon, this, and she was like, "We have to do it." I'm like, "We can't. We're playing on consoles, and it'll look bad if I put it on my PC." But maybe when we finish the game, I'll have to just like install like this mod and the Thomas the Tank Engine face mod and like the Mom Jeans Old Navy mod, just every mod that I can, and then we'll play up to Lady Dimitrescu and just have her be completely ridiculous. So yeah,
right. Big hats.
I like it. You are not going to be playing Resident Evil Village, right, Bryce?
No, I'm good.
I actually read an article where they said that they said that the feedback they got was that 7 was too scary, so they made Village less scary. I mean,
I think I've also inadvertently seen the end of the game. I've seen some people streaming it, including the end of it.
Okay. Well, I tell you what,
it of course made no sense because I also didn't play 7.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of a prerequisite on this one. I tell you what, we have just a little bit of time. Let's do a couple questions.
Yeah.
Let me see which questions I got here. What questions do we have? I did get it. Maybe this is a very fast question. Is somebody Chels writes in and says, "Greetings, Jeff and Bryce. I just moved to Austin from Florida. Any recommendations on what to do and where to eat? Also, any recommendations for good games on the PlayStation 5 I can play with my boyfriend while he still lives in Florida temporarily? Best." And that's from Chels. Multiplayer PS5 online games. You wait until November. Grand Theft Auto 5.
Did you like It Takes Two, Jeff? Would you say It Takes Two was good for?
It Takes Two is goddamn phenomenal, and I feel like more people need to be talking about it because that game. I mean, I don't know if you take the subject matter of like divorce really personally. Then I guess it could be like a bummer, but like the actual act of playing the game with another person is just so delightful that I can barely even stand it. As far as I'm trying to think, multiplayer.
I don't think they have Destruction All Stars as the free game anymore. I would have said that's an interesting one to try to play multiplayer. Yeah, there haven't been.
Let's see. Let's just do Demon Souls. That's what you should play. Yeah, It Takes Two is definitely in there. Warframe, Hitman. A lot of these are not multiplayer games.
Maybe some. Well, that Subnautica new one is not out yet, but
no, it's out. It came out last week. That's what I've been playing. But I don't think it's multiplayer. I think it's just single player.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Yeah, there's not a lot. There's not a lot on here. Outriders, Marvel's Avengers. Oh God, that's terrible. Yeah, I don't know. I would maybe look into like if you're looking for something specifically on the PlayStation 5, you might have a better time setting up like
PS4 games.
Well, I don't know. Have you done any streaming directly from the PS5 through your Twitch app? Like you just stream it to your boyfriend and then like get on a phone call together and just like kind of one person watches while the other person plays a game type of thing.
Oh yeah, you could do that.
Demon Souls. Like Demon Souls is the best choice I can see in here.
I think they do have a like screen sharing thing on the PlayStation itself. If you want to watch, if you can watch from another PlayStation, a 4 or 5, I think you can do a screen share thing to your friends. If that's what we're talking about here.
Well, let's get to the real meat. Recommendations on what to do and where to eat. That's a big question here in Austin.
I'll say this one because I think it's not anyone's number one, but which means I think not enough people think about it. Kirby Lane. Kirby Lane is great. It's like if IHOP was Cracker Barrel. It's great.
Yeah, or Magnolia. I'm more of a Magnolia Cafe kind of guy personally, but that depends on where you are. There's like more Kirby Lanes north, and there's only one Magnolia in it south. I'll actually say if you want to eat like a local, you gotta get on board the Thundercloud Subs train. I eat at Thundercloud Subs all the time, and I love it. But as far as like,
I've had it once. They're pretty good.
Yeah. Well, they're everywhere. They're easy. They're fast. I would say, like specifically Austin stuff. A lot of it depends on where in town you are, but like, there's hella good barbecue all over this friggin' town. If you really want to get like some good barbecue going, take an afternoon and drive to Lockhart. I mean, obviously check online to see what the COVID restrictions are, but like, Lockhart is about an hour, I believe, out of Austin, and there's like 4 really big, old, well beloved barbecue places there that you can go to. There's Black's and Terry Black's and Kreutz, and there's one other one that I can never remember.
But even kind of more touristy stuff like Torchy's is good. Torchy's is fine. It's expensive, but they do kind of wacky tacos. Or Rudy's. Like you can get good barbecue there very cheap, or not very cheap, but very quick.
Yeah.
Compared to like waiting all day for Franklin's or something.
Yeah, don't wait all day for Franklin's. Go eat at Rudy's and then just have the rest of your day to do stuff. That's worth more than waiting in line.
And then other than food, like I don't even know what's still open. Like I haven't been downtown in a year and a half, so I don't know if the bars I like are even existent.
Holy shit! This website put Slab Barbecue and Beer at number 1. I went there once and was thoroughly unimpressed.
They're okay. If they're okay, Slab. I don't like Slab very much.
Yeah, there's some good ramen places in town.
Oh yeah.
I always
is pretty good. Michi ramen. I like Michi ramen.
Yeah, me too. Peach tortilla is actually really good, but that's kind of pricey. As far as stuff to do, like the problem here is that a lot of this stuff, again, like you said, I don't know if they're open. I wonder, you could probably go watch the bats, right? That's outside, and
yeah.
It's starting to get warmer.
Check out the bats.
You can go to a soccer game right around the corner from my house because they opened up that new soccer stadium they built behind the Discount Tire, like a mile from where I live.
Or Barton Springs. Like go cool off in Barton Springs. It's like a little pool. It's like a pool, but it is the part of the lake. It's neat. It's kind of neat.
I tell you one that I don't know. Like it depends on your tolerance for just like rampant capitalism, but I went a few times I live right around the corner from this place in North Austin. It's called The Domain. That's like a bunch of apartments integrated with a bunch of kind of ritzy shops. But the thing that I didn't actually understand was that there's also like a real, like a bar district over there that has a pretty poppin' nightlife where you can just like park in this parking lot and then walk into this weird, I don't know that I can describe what The Domain is. It's like if you had like a bar district that had apartment buildings on top of it, but was also next to an Apple store.
It's an outdoor mall with its own. It's with a food court and then a drinks court.
Yeah,
like it's because it's like half of it is a high end, like literally high end mall. But then it like has an other part to it. Yeah, like that's all right. There's interesting stuff there, and yeah, some of the food places there are good.
I wonder, like, because
kind of Austin-y feel.
I went there like right before or 6 months before kind of lockdown, and I remember like they had like one of those VR arcade places over there, and they had like they had this ice cream shop where they had like a line out the door to it. And apparently it's a thing that started like at the University of Ohio in Columbus. And then they opened up like a full store. They like sold it in this specialty ice cream, like in pints up there. And then they actually had like a a counter that you could walk up to and get a cone to go here, and there's literally like a line out the door. They've got the Domain also has that movie theater that's like it's got the recliner seats, right? Like the super fancy
I didn't know that.
where you buy like just two recliners that are like glued together, and then they've kind of got a ritzy food service like Alamo, but you get this very kind of like personalized little experience. I mean, like I said, it's a very capitalist touristy type of thing. I mean, I'd say that there's a lot of stuff in Austin that you probably can't do right now. I mean, I'd say that next year, I am not a fan of South by. I don't think you should try to go to South by. I think you should look at the South by schedule, and if there's one thing that you are willing to go take time out of your life and wait in line and try to get into without a badge, without buying a $2,000 badge, like there's a lot of times there's stuff like there'll do like a video game expo that you can go and you can pay like $10 to get into without buying a badge, and it'll be kind of like a little mini E3 thing. RTX isn't a bad thing to go to as well. Once they start that back up again, is it's just kind of just like a geek convention hooked into the whole Rooster Teeth thing. I mean, I haven't been in years, but I remember it being like, you get to go to downtown to the convention center and just wander around and check stuff out. And if you're into Rooster Teeth, there's all kinds of panels and stuff to go to. Schlitterbahn, probably not right now unless, I don't know, maybe they'll open up this summer. But about an hour away, there's a water park.
Six Flags is open.
What's that?
Six Flags is open. I'm sure Schlitterbahn's going to be opened.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Bryce, there's no delineation in my mind between like when it's an emergency and when we can stop. I've been in emergency mode for so long that I don't know how to turn it off. So it's just like, I was thinking today, I'm like, do I really need to wear my mask when I go through the drive-thru to get a hamburger? Like, I'm fully vaccinated. I don't see anybody. I don't do anything. I don't interact with people. And even if I did, like, would I be passing it on to other people? No. But I still do just because of habit. So I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, like right now, it's not for me. It's for the fast food worker who doesn't have to think about me.
Right.
Like I wear a mask and then they don't have to think about me for like 1 second. And then it'll be a thing where most people, they won't have to think about them. And then we'll be past that. But yeah.
I keep getting
or like pinballs. Like if your pinballs is good.
Oh yeah, I was actually just going to say this. I keep getting YouTube ads for this Bishop Cidercade in Austin, which is like pizza and arcade games and booze, and it looks like it might be a little bit more adult oriented than pinballs, which is more just kind of all ages. But I keep seeing literal YouTube ads in front of my videos for this Austin bar arcade place.
And that's on Riverside. That's probably in a good spot.
Yeah.
Like an interesting part of town too.
All right, let's do one more. Let's see. I don't know. This one was first on the list. So, Ben, you got it this week. Ben says, hey, Jeff and Bryce, recently watched the new Mortal Kombat movie. It sucks. I missed the 95 Mortal Kombat movie. Me too. My first question is related to video games, specifically fighting games. Are fans of fighting games more specific than other fandoms about what part of the franchise they care about? You said you loved Mortal Kombat 11, but I know fans who hate Mortal Kombat 11 or hate what Mortal Kombat 11 did to Sindel as a character. Similarly, I want to like Injustice more, but there are no reasons why Wonder Woman is evil in the stories, and it shits on her as a character. Am I overthinking this? Second question, does weapon degradation prompt you to be more creative in a game, or does it just make you do the survival horror thing where you try to never use the more powerful weapons? And that is from Ben. I can't speak for all fighting game fans. Mortal Kombat is goofy as hell. So the fact that they messed up a character, I mean, I'm a Melina fan, Ben. My favorite character in Mortal Kombat has been just like dragged behind a truck for years in that franchise. She wasn't even in Mortal Kombat 11 until the DLC came out. I don't know. The older I get, the more I have mellowed in like but why would Wonder Woman even do that? I'm like, because it's a fighting game, and you gotta fight Wonder Woman. So you gotta have a reason to fight Wonder Woman, and it doesn't matter to me whether it makes any sense what she just did or not. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you're having a fighting game where superheroes may be fighting other superheroes, you need to have. There should be some reason for it. Like, even in the universe, there should be a reason for it, because when it happens in, say, the comics, right, it's a big to-do, right? Someone is turned or what have you. So you gotta have some sort of veneer over that kind of thing. But it's kind of goofy.
What do you think? Does weapon degradation prompt you to be more creative?
Oh, I don't like weapon degradation. I would rather have like craft, like in Breath of the Wild. I would have rather had a little bit of crafting than have weapon degradation, or like upgrade, like something a Minecraft almost sort of thing. It was not
my favorite thing in Breath of the Wild, but it did make me do some funky stuff that I liked quite a bit. Like, I wouldn't want every game to be like Breath of the Wild, but there were definitely parts where it was like, well, I know that this weapon is going to be more useful to me later, so let me throw a torch and then roll a boulder down on these guys and shoot a couple of arrows. And once I kind of got into the rhythm of that, it didn't bother me. I feel like with Breath of the Wild, a lot of times I hear the complaint about the weapon degradation, and to me it's like, well, if you just decide that you're going to fight that system, if you're just like, I don't like that system, so I'm going to fight against it with all my might, then you're probably going to have a pretty bad time when you play the game, as opposed to just kind of going with it. So I don't know. It's very late and I'm very tired, and I think that that's the end of everything. Bryce, tell the people where they can find you on the internet.
You can follow me on Twitter at Brycas, BRYCAS, and check out marbles.win, the website for the marble stuff. We are doing summer training right now, so we are doing marbles every other Friday. You can find out more on marbles.win. Our next one is not this week, but is next May 28th. Is our next one.
Okay, yeah. Cool. And, mail@rageset.com is the email address. Send in some questions. That's it. That's all there is. Now I'm going to go and set 64 rolls of sticky-ass toilet paper on fire. I've been smelling it the whole time.